Good afternoon. Good afternoon to everybody in the room and online. It's pretty impressive to have some speakers that come from Accra and other places in Africa. I'm not sure if I'm fully legitimate. I'm a French guy. It states it. Just to my defense, I've been 17 years in East Africa, out of which 12 years in Uganda. Henry, I have a request before I proceed. Would I be allowed to have a question to my colleague, Melissa, at the end of my presentation?
Yeah, we're going to have about 5 minutes of questions,
all right.
So you can do that.
Okay, great. So I'm going to advocate for agribusiness and not necessarily for the company that I represent. Next slide, please. No, I'm the one to. Just a point. So I'm from Metajua. It's a company that I created after having worked in the coffee industry for a number of years in East Africa. And Metajua is a software company that provides a platform for agribusiness sourcing from smallholder farmers. So agribusiness subscribe to Metajua and then they deploy a mobile phone with Metajua app into the field with their employee to profile farmers, to do audit in the scope of international certification or local certification, organic, fair trade, XYZ. They buy product from the smallholder farmers and the data that is sent to a cloud platform is used by managers, supervisors to monitor the operation of the employees of those companies and let's say the performance in their relation with the farmers and many things that my colleagues here have already described. So it's used both internally for the business and it's used externally to communicate with the bank, with a financial entity, with investors, with clients, all the stakeholders of those agribusiness. Why agriculture? I've looked back at some World Bank, I think, statistic to see what's the segments of agriculture vis-à-vis GDP for Sub-Saharan Africa and then Asia and European countries. And yes, it's very significant. We're looking at 20 to 30% of the GDP contribution. If we deep dive, the largest proportion of that production that goes to market and that is also used for food comes out from smallholder farmers, small-scale producers. Food security and employment, all of you have said it, it's extremely important. It's 60 to 80% of the labor force that is employed mainly on family business, small-scale production. So whatever we do in agriculture will have an impact. If we grow the agriculture, it will grow altogether significantly the GDP of those countries, and it will have an impact on a very large size of the population. We've been talking about agritech, so I look back, I like precise things. So technology, it's the application of scientific knowledge for practical purpose. Okay, agriculture, I guess we know what it is. So agritech, again, we're looking at scientific knowledge for agriculture in a practical way. And the practical way will be improving yield, efficiency, and profitability. That sounds all right to increase, you know, the contribution of agriculture to GDP and to the population. So some example, I would say relatively modern example of agri-tech. Drones, we saw some example, I think from Oracle, satellite photographies and sensors or remote sensings, IoT, weather forecast, biotech. It's huge. In the last 2-3 years, you know, this very large amount of money that is circulating in the world has finally, you know, I would say focus on agriculture and finding that there is a huge opportunity in agriculture. And so there is a lot of investments. Those are a few examples. Is it far away? It is. I mean, because it's mainly small scale producers, we're unlikely to see immediately a robot like this one to be used in a small farm. But the drones, yes. The big data, yes. The biotech, though I'm not necessarily a great fan. But research, practical research works both for the large farm and for the small farms. So improving yield, efficiency, profitability in the definition at first, sustainability was not there, and I guess we need to add it. We'll talk to Wikipedia and maybe amend it. We need to add sustainability. So how do we do that for small-scale producers? So I've looked back, and that's the beauty of the web. It's like I looked at the entire world again and again, because this is something that, as a tech company, we do permanently, to look at what are the today solutions. I found an interesting business called DAT. It's an Indian company. They do something, I would say, relatively close to us, but pretty much, you know, focusing a lot on providing solutions for the smallholders themselves, whereas we are more focused on agribusiness. So they provide automated support in terms of agronomy input. You see this small shop. It's interesting. It's a very common traditional shop for input, like we would see in Uganda. But there is a smartphone next to it. So the tech is there, and the tech is there in the back end. They've raised $30 million in last few months. It's quite significant to work with smallholder farmers. And they've just bought a European company providing a very precise analysis for very small farms. So what I was talking about, remote sensing is for big farm, but those guys managed to take it down to the very small farm using IoT, using artificial intelligence. They are able to provide advisory services very tailored to those very small farms. Closer to us is agric. They provide profiling of farmers, agro input, agriculture financing, extension advisory. So they have agents that go and collect data from the farmers, and then they provide those advisory services with support of the app, and then in turn they can probably buy or recommend to sell the product. So it's a small ecosystem. Sun culture, they provide pay-as-you-go irrigation pumping system. So this is again very tailored to the smallholder farmers. Allo Tractor, I'm not sure whether they are Nigerian or Kenyan, because they say they are, you know, they have a big office in each. Maybe, sorry, I didn't dig enough. So that's my last example. The title was Supply Tech versus Agritech. Supply Tech is not really a common word. I've made it up, forgive me, but it matters. Supply chain activity, it's the management of natural resources, raw material, all the way to the finished product. And someone mentioned about the gentleman from Rock Telecom, Alexander, if I'm not wrong, you mentioned Amazon, okay? Amazon is the paradigm of supply tech, okay? And especially in COVID, we see the impact of this around the world, or Jumia here. The supply tech is something growing, and it matters a lot. Very close to us, we have an example with Twiga. They link the small-scale producers all the way to the small vendor in the street. This is supply tech, okay? I'm getting there. I can say we are supply tech, and I introduce agritech versus supply tech to nail the difference between. Sometimes it's a bit blurry, and I thought it was useful to do that. A practical case here is I'm showing, so again, it goes from the farms, I would say, all the way down to the shelves of product in a supermarket in Europe or in the US. And I'm just looking at this here. It's like, this is a tag that one of our clients, a cocoa maker, Latitude Trade here in Uganda, is using to put in his container that ships to Europe, then is going to be processed, and the end consumer will be able to flash the tag and have the list of farmers and some particulars attached to him. And a lot of consumers are attaching a lot of value to that. They want to know where the product is coming from. We had fair trade, we had certification for many years, but technology is bringing something that certification wasn't able to bring its, I would say, face, okay? But not face, you know, it's the St. Thomas. It's, I believe from what I see. And here I can see, I can almost give a call. Actually, it could be possible. We could have the number of the farmers, and a consumer could give a call to the farmers to see where, did you produce that cocoa? Was it good value? So again, my case, it's about tech, but it's about how do we generate data? Alexander, you've talked about data. You said it's a huge value. We are not in a space like elsewhere where the people who are the source of the data, if we talk about the farmers, okay, or the farms themselves, are generating data themselves, okay? We can't talk about crowdsourcing of data in most cases. Why? Because the farmers are not connected. Many of them have smartphones, but, no, sorry. A very few of them have smartphones, and actually not so many have phones, just basic phones, okay? So it means you need someone who will go, and I'm sure all of us who have tried something in the field will say that go and collect data, not the technology itself, go and collect data is very expensive, okay? So my case here again is agribusiness. Long story short, why agribusiness? Because agribusiness have a long-term perspective in the field. This is what you've tried, I think, in Ballet, if I'm not wrong. Is it in Ballet or Kasese, sorry? It's like most probably you've looked at, is there continuity? Is there someone who has an interest not to collect? You don't profile the farmers and then get value out of it. You need to be there and continuously collect data, many different type of data, okay? So again, the case for agribusiness is those are the guys who have an incentive. It's the mere nature of their business to be in the field for a long time. And increasingly, they are using technology solution, data-enabled solution, so they generate some data. They could be most probably, you know, a cornerstone of an ecosystem of data. I would like to say the center because there's no longer a center. This is my slide here, but it's wrong. It doesn't look like that. It's a network. It's a web. What is the center of the web today? Nobody knows. It's the same thing. Here we're looking, all of us, we've talked about it. Value of data, blah, blah. Sorry. You know, we are looking at, we need data, we want to generate some data because it would give us knowledge, okay? There is no center for this, but the agribusiness can play an immense role in this. I've tried to locate all the different players in that ecosystem, and I fit the bank and to say, yes, you, bank, and other non-farm service provider, you provide finance, you provide insurance, you provide FMCG, goods, whatever. You would want to tap into that market, but you can't be the only source of data. It's only meaningful if you collaborate, and that will be my question. So where do you fit? Where do we fit? Those guys, the agribusiness, they buy product from SSP, they interact, the small-scale producers, they interact with them, they store, finance, process, sell, package, export, support farmers. they have a long-term business cycle in the field, and they generate increasingly data about this. And you too. So, what is your strategy? Most of us here, we've presented a strategy that shows that we've already understood the value of digitalization. Dot, okay? I think I noted down. There are 3 elements. Are we ready? Are we into digital? But the second thing, and it's, are we ready for two-way exchange? Because we might not be the Google. I'm not sure I want to be Google, okay? We're at the end of a cycle where we want to have measure who got it, okay? I love Rock Technical. I'm not sure that I want Rock Technical to be the center, okay? The master. Neither the bank, no offense, okay? We all play a great role. What is our core value? I remember business school, it's like, what is your focus? It's like, don't lose focus. We're not a data company, okay? Everybody is not going to become a data company. Most probably will be a bank and something a little bit, aside. You'll be a service provider of internet connection, and yes, you will tap in the data, but let's keep focus. So the question I want to make here is, on the second part, are we ready for starting to exchange information, okay, with others? Because the value is indeed in the pots aggregated. So are we talking about an ecosystem? It's like, and this is my question, how are we engaging with each other, okay, to recognize the value, the specialty, our core business, and how do we plug in? Because there is a tremendous opportunity to leverage the smallholder farmers with support of agribusiness and with support of all of us. And this goes through the digitalization and exchange of data and opportunities. Thank you very much.